It's me. I. I'm the beatdown. It's me. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video. And today, Michael L. has asked me to build around Exsanguinator Cavalry with Cranial Plating. So, Exsanguinator Cavalry is a card that is seeing, I guess it's fair to say, increasingly more play in Legacy. It's kind of going from 0 to this is a card that you would have been expected to see in Legacy if you play a decent amount. Um, I don't know that we're quite to format staple yet or anything like this, but this is a pretty powerful card in the flex slots of a handful of different black decks. It offers evasion, life gain, scaling, and a little bit of card selection off an ancient tombable mana cost, which is kind of a lot. So Michael desires to see it get big, and cranial plating is a very mana efficient way to increase the power of a creature. Now it doesn't increase its toughness, so a lot of times with cranial plating you want something like flying to make sure your creature is actually going to get in for the damage that you get in for. And in designing a deck that has both of these cards in it, I know a couple of things from the start. I need a lot of artifacts. I probably need Ancient Tomb to power out this creature, and I probably can't play more than 2 colors in the deck list. There's a lot of really good blue artifact synergy cards, basically everything that's in 8-cast, the Thought Monitors, Thoughtcast, Kappa Cannoneers, and we're probably going to want some number of those cards in the deck list. And if we want that, we're probably going to need some other mana fixing as well. Now, a quick note for the paper Magic players out there. Scorpek Lord is a card that you should consider if you want to build a deck that looks like this. It has the same cost as Exsanguinator Cavalry. It also has Menace just like it does, but it grows your other artifact creatures and gives them evasion while also being a card that has Unearth. This might end up checking a lot of the same boxes that Exsanguinator Cavalry does, but better within the confines of this exact shell. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at what I've put together for today. So the shell that I used as a base to build this deck list comes from Michael Garasic, not sure on pronunciation, who is a local Charlotte player. Who has been playing Affinity in some local leagues, and I saw multiple results with the same general deck list, so it seemed like a good starting point. So the goal is to have 6 cranial plating effects, 4 platings and 4 nettle cysts that we can throw onto our creatures. And because the cranial platings are going to be responsible for a lot of our damage, 0-cost creatures become better than normal. And the 0-cost creatures will also go and grow things like Patchwork Automaton, which, as we've seen in a couple of recent videos, can do some very scary things, while also turning on Mox Opals. Michael G's original deck list even has 3 Phyrexian Walkers, and I cut 2 of those and 2 Scorpek Lords for the Exsanguinator Cavalries. And a quick note on some synergies here that might not be immediately obvious. Blood tokens are artifacts. So if you have an Exsanguinator Cavalry equipped with cranial plating, it will grow itself by 1 when it deals combat damage, and then when it makes that blood token, it will grow itself by another 1. So, like, while it at first might seem like, hey, are you just trying to shove a weird card into Affinity? And, well, maybe that's a little bit true. It does have some real synergy here. Our mana base is slightly sketch, but hopefully not too bad. The original found room for a basic island because, things like Affinity and Blood Moon are real. Because I added extra black pips into the deck, I did change that to an underground sea. That kind of felt fitting to me. And then we've also got Vault Scourges here as another way to kind of gain some life. If you take a look at this deck list and you ask where is the removal, the answer is it's in the combat step. Like, you are looking to force your opponent to chump block. That is how you are getting rid of their creatures, or you're hoping to avoid combat via something like trample, menace, flying, or unblockable in the case of Kappa Cannoneer. We do have a little bit of removal in the sideboard, so it's not like the 75 is just like, hey, I can't deal with a creature that's put into play. Um, Generally speaking, I liked the things that were here. It's possible for the Magic Online metagame, I might want the fourth Leyline of the Void. That was something that I was considering. I think if I did that, it would come at the cost of the second Torpor Orb. I'm going to leave that in there. I think it's a nice catch-all versus like Death and Taxes, Doomsday. Sometimes works against initiative, but only sometimes. But I think this sideboard is a nice generic sideboard, so I think I'm not going to tamper with it too much. Oh yeah, so with that being said, let's battle. If you find you need some Exsanguinator Cavalries or any other sweet card you see in this video, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to get 5% off on your next order. And as always, if you have a sweet thing that you want to get on the channel, all my donation information and all my Discord information and all that is available in the video description. Okay, turn 3 Exsanguinator Cavalry is not Legacy standards. This hand's really good. I think Kappa Cannoneer just goes back, and we be the beatdown that we want to see in the world. This is a highly aggressive hand. That's pretty damn soft to... Well, actually, no, I take it back. It's not that soft to a Wasteland, right? Because I just have a second Urza Saga. I guess it's soft to 2 Wastelands, but who has 2 Wastelands, honestly? Alright, we are pondering. Given current metagame statistics, it's probably most likely that this is a Delver deck of some kind, but that is by no means guaranteed. A Mox Opal, you say? So this is a much better draw than it looks like. So we'll cast this Vault Scourge, and then when we make our Urza Saga Construct token, it is already outside of the range of lightning bolt effects, which seems like a huge deal. And I'm just gonna main phase make this. I don't know, like we're just gonna play around a stifle effect. It seems like that would be one of the worst things my opponent could have for me, is just like stifle that activation and then like wasteland my Urza Saga. Basic mountain. Okay. That's a thing. So we get to search. I think we're getting Retrofitter Foundry. Okay, it doesn't matter. The reason I just didn't snap off Retrofitter Foundry is like I have really good options there. Welding Jar to regenerate an artifact from a removal spell is good, and Aether Spellbomb to hedge against something like Show and Tell is also pretty reasonable. The basic mountain is not typical in Delver right now. It's possible that this is a 2-color Delver deck list, like a straight blue-red Delver deck list, with some sort of sprite dragon young pyromancer style 2-drop threat. It's also possible that this is show and tell, and I don't get to know for sure. So I'm probably not going to sideboard a lot. I'm going to just kind of vocalize the cards that I'm thinking about. So these 6 cards would kind of be the things that would be reasonable to play after having just seen like Volk Ponder Mountain. I think I'm not going to sideboard for game 2. I think my win percentage is reasonable versus Delver without sideboarding. And versus Show and Tell, we're just trying to race them a lot of times anyway, because like the best disruption I have isn't particularly good. I don't think this one has enough permanent mana sources that I want to keep it. This is super reasonable. I think Kappa Cannoneer probably goes back here over this other land. We don't know whether or not we're getting wastelanded yet. And before I know the answer to that question, I would like to keep the extra land. Opener still ambiguous. Alright, that's no shuffle on the Ponder. I don't really want to see another Underground Sea here. Like, I can loot them away with this later, and that's not the end of the world or anything, but it's really not what I'm looking for. See if this resolves. It does. I think this is show and tell. Like, a Delver deck that kept their 7-card hand could be answering a Chalice or playing an initial threat. Well, I am going to hit like a truck if I am allowed to do my thing. Gotta be show and tell, right? It just has to be. Unless, like, this is about to just get... Nope, no petty theft. Land drop. No, okay. I'm a little confused. Land drop. I guess we'll cast this off of the... No, I won't, actually. I will cast this off the Ancient Tomb. The primary reason being so that I can loot post-combat and get rid of one of these lands. So that brings my opponent to 14, me to 19. Do I need to do this right now? Do you have 0 drops I can draw? I think I'll wait, though. Intuition? Question mark, question mark, question mark? No? Okay. Straight up just a Fury. Got it. So this not being an artifact creature, so I can't regenerate it with Welding Jar, is kind of a big deal. That occurs. See if I draw an Ornithopter, which will punish me for not sorcery speed looting. Let's get rid of Ancient Tomb. Alright, it was not. A Kappa Cannoneer. Fine playing the artifact. I think I'm fine tapping this. And I don't think I need to equip Cranial Blading within this turn cycle. And because a 5th counter goes on this, I don't have to worry about it dying to a Fury and my opponent paying for the Ward 4. I think this just kills my opponent next turn, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts, 10. I guess any artifact is lethal. Or that fetch land or that Ancient Tomb is lethal. Yeah, I guess without an artifact, I'm not unblockable. I think I misplayed. I think I am supposed to play Underground Sea on my own turn and then hold Seat for the following turn. That way I can always make Kappa Cannoneer unblockable. I think that was a clear misplay. I don't need to increase the artifact count immediately. Yeah, and I'm punished for it. My opponent gets a chump block here. We're going to go ahead and regenerate our Kappa Cannoneer, so that the whole double strike thing doesn't kill it. Now that I know my Kappa Cannoneer isn't getting bounced or something weird in combat, I will go ahead and use 1 mana to equip it post-combat. So I could have put my opponent at 1 this turn, deterministically, meaning that fetch land wasn't valid, and this Ancient Tomb wouldn't be able to be activated. So some sneak attack lines can result in me losing my board. Show and tell is happening. I'm not going to put this land. Maybe I put it into play. It's another permanent for something like an Emrakul happening. Braid's a good hit there. Scalding Tarn, Braid, Lotus Petal, and Emrakul. Well, my opponent just punted that one into the stratosphere. The correct hit there is Cranial Plating. So my opponent is dead to me drawing any artifact. Yep. I punted this game. They punted it right back. We are playing football. Another show and tell. Sure. My opponent is still dead to any artifact. Come on, deck. Artifact. My opponent's 2 last cards have to be blue card plus Force of Will. I know one of them is Scalding Tarn. I don't think I played that one particularly well. I think my opponent played worse, though. I don't know why they kept their opening hand. Like, their opening hand could not attempt a fast combo, which I think is conceptually what they want to do in the matchup. Like, I'm very, very soft to show and tell playing this deck. And I think their first play was something like a turn 5 hardcast Fury. They didn't keep a hand that could combo off, and they didn't keep a hand that could stop a hate piece. I think that leaves them in a very bad spot.
Today's video is sponsored by Eminence Gaming. Their command tower software that they use to run events is awesome, and in January, I'm going to be attending another one of their events, The Boil, in Atlanta at Charlie's Collectible Show, which is, no joke, one of the coolest venues that I've ever played at. If you are interested in some CEDH and or meeting me, consider checking it out.
All right. My hand did not do anything. We were one ancient tomb away from greatness. What about this one? Turn 1, Underground Sea, Vault Scourge. Turn 2, Cranial Plating, Equip. Actually, turn 1, Seat, Vault Scourge. Turn 2, Cranial Plating, Equip. This is a keep, so the question is, do I want Land 4 or Thought Monitor? And I think it's pretty easily Thought Monitor. Okay. Some portion of the time, my opponent wastes their first turn playing something like a Blood Moon or Chalice of the Void that doesn't super impact me. We're more scared of Sticker Goblin. That's not technically Sticker Goblin. However, it sure does find one. So next turn is not great for me. Can I Ancient Tomb now? Ancient Tomb. No. Right. So Ancient Tomb, Cranial Plating, Mox Opal, Metalcraft not on. Seat, Vault Scourge, Mox Opal on. Don't have 2 mana. Okay. So we'll Vault Scourge, and then I will hold Mox Opal in case I end up drawing something like a Patchwork Automaton or Kappa Cannoneer. That makes that good. Oh, Cursed Mirror. That's gross. That just gets some boxes for next turn. It gets another name sticker goblin. Well, alright. That's a thing. I don't think I am going to race my opponent here. So, Underground Sea, Mox Opal, Cranial Plating, the old Equiparino. 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts controlled, so Mox Opal does not get me to Thought Monitor. Bash in for 5. And this turn is just pain. I expect I go from 22 to dead, literally this turn. 2 name sticker goblins, even if they don't both high roll, is just going to net a lot of mana, and either a Muxus or a Battlecry goblin will do disgusting things to me and everyone that I love. Yeah, that was expected. And a Ringleader. Getting another Battlecry goblin. Why are we making that land drop? You had Cursed Mirror. You have a Spirit Guide as well? No, okay, so it was just a mistake. My opponent threw away a land. I don't know that it matters, because they're hitting me for like 15 damage. Alright, deck. How much do you cost? You cost 3. How do I win? I'm probably taking 17-ish damage next turn. So even in blocking and negating 3 of that, that still currently leaves me dead, so I need to play stuff. Let's try to high roll, and I think I tap Ancient Tomb here. And hope that the cards that come off the top are good enough that it makes worth investing that life. Not quite what I wanted. But I do get to scale some cards up. Keep this Mox Opal. Kappa Cannoneer, not really viable to cast currently. So I can hit my opponent for 7. Go to 12. Block 2 of these. Take 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe still lethal. Depending on when my opponent activates Battlecry Goblin. I think I never win this game if it goes long. I think I'm going to just make the attack and hope my opponent messes up combat in some capacity. I should have moved Cranial Plating. Maybe that's not true. I already kill everything. Den of the Bugbear should mean that they're well, actually no, if they put mana into Den of the Bugbear, they're not putting it into Battlecry Goblin. But I think with 2 Battlecry Goblin activations, I am dead. But I think that's always the case. Yeah, I believe I am deterministically dead to swing, make token, and then pump. Alright. And it's happening. There's 2 pumps. And if I block 2 4-power things, I am still dead. If I hold back, I stop 4 of that damage from coming through, and I am still dead. Alright, Plague Engineer on Goblins is good. Torpor Orb is very strong in this matchup, stopping both the Muxus triggers and the Namesticker triggers, as well as Matrons. This card is great. Does any spell? Does any spell that's playable? I'm unsure how I feel about Sheoldred's Edict. Pithing Needle can be interesting versus something like Broadside. I don't know that that's going to be a premium search. Chalice of the Void, not particularly strong here either. That would give me Plague Engineers and Torpor Orbs, and then I can start thinking about either keeping Needle or playing some Edicts or Metallic Rebukes. Edict can do some cute things versus a Namesticker Goblin that is just naked played out. Removing your Namesticker Goblin before the ability resolves means the ability fizzles. Thought Monitor is a little slow for this matchup. If I want to play all 3, I could junk Thought Monitors and keep these. I think the Pithing Needle's too narrow, unless my opponent is on a Skirk Prospector build. I don't know, there's still Battlecry Goblin, though. Alright. Yeah, no, this is fine. I don't know that I'll go so far as good, but it should produce Kappa Cannoneer on turn 2, while also making a very large turn 1 threat. This won't always be fast enough, just it won't. Because that deck can go fast. But I'm hoping with my opponent's mulligan that I have a little bit of wiggle room. Again, by no means guaranteed. But I'm kind of viewing this hand as like I have made a turn 1 4/4 while also playing 3 mana rocks. And in viewing the hand like that, I think it's pretty good. And we'll just see if my opponent has like a Spirit Guide or Chrome Mox into Sticker Goblin to have a very strong start. What are you doing? Oh, okay. Just going for Pyrokinesis. Sure. Alright, so Kappa. So I'm right back to the spot I was in last turn, where as long as my opponent doesn't Sticker Goblin me and pull way ahead, I probably win this game. That is not colored mana. It's a Spirit Guide. I mean, that can attack, and that's fine. Menace is a thing, but that doesn't get to throw anything that currently kills Kappa Cannoneers. And I'm going to get a chance to just scale up anyway. So this is 6/6. And Exsanguinator Cavalry happens to work very, very well with Kappa Cannoneer to continue scaling it up. Now, some portion of the time, this does stop Kappa Cannoneer from being unblockable. And that's a thing, but not this time. Why did my opponent keep their hand? Is my question. Chalice is not particularly good on the draw. Pyrokinesis, I don't think is a thing that makes a hand keepable. Like, conceptually, their hand wants to play a big thing or play something fast and start being aggressive, and their hand did neither. I don't know the other cards remaining in their hand, but I think I'm more excited about a 5 than that 6-card hand that they played. So on the draw, Metallic Rebuke is a little more attractive as a way to stop the big thing from coming down. It's not always fast enough, but sometimes, you know, I can open on a few 0-cost artifacts and play it on their turn 2, my turn 1. Exsanguinator Cavalry is a little slow on the draw. Nettle Cyst is a little slow on the draw. I know they're packing Pyrokinesis. Creature does get worse. I think I'm going to play a couple Metallic Rebukes. I think the generic counter spell will help me if I pull ahead and maybe stop me from falling behind in the first place. All right. 2 mana on turn 1 can be Patchwork Automaton, or it can be Hold Up Metallic Rebuke. I think this hand is always dead to my opponent playing Sticker Goblin on turn 1. It's okay against Sticker Goblin or other good card on turn 2. How many lands do I have? Only 17. 17 out of 53 to hit a land. I think if I'm always going to lose to turn 1 Sticker Goblin, good game. I'm going to finish the thought. I think if I'm always losing to turn 1 Sticker Goblin anyway, that keeping a hand that can stop it on turn 2 is perfectly reasonable. All right. I imagine that I'm fully just dead to Trinisphere Chalice of the Void, so I'm going to skip ahead. All right, a few turns later, my opponent has made a bunch of land drops and is just activating Den of the Bugbear as a way to kill me. Which is like slow and very mana inefficient, but with me having no permanents, no abilities to do anything here, I think I am comfortable conceding to that.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, which is, in my opinion, the best Magic the Gathering website for hosting your deck lists online. One of my favorite features is that you can create your own custom tags for when you're deck building. So let's say you're building a commander deck and you want to know, hey, how many copy effects do I have? You can just create a tag and sort everything, and there's fun little hotkeys so that you can do this more quickly. So really, please consider checking them out if you are looking to tinker with deck lists online.
You've never gone all in on an Exsanguinator Cavalry. Are you even a real Legacy player? Alright. My opponent has mulligan to 4, so they are probably playing something pretty unfair. And my hand is not quite aggressive enough to be good against unfair things. I don't think I play out the Phyrexian Walker or the Ancient Tomb. Both of these are things that I would be very happy to just loot away. And if I draw something like a Patchwork Automaton, I want to be able to do this. What are we doing over there? Underground Sea Dark Ritual make me sad? Not this turn. That's a shuffle. That's really good news for me. Cranial Plating is some gas, though. Makes the rest of this turn a little weird. Like, obviously I cast it. Am I just playing out Phyrexian Walker for 1 more point of damage? I think so. And I think I equip here for the life gain, because it might be relevant if my opponent is something like a Besieged Storm deck. I think I don't play Ancient Tomb, though. It's a little weird because this blood token is another point of power. So I don't necessarily want to loot away. So another point of power is another point of life gain, which if my opponent is playing a Besieged deck, matters. That's not bad. I also have black to move this thing around at instant speed if I need to. I am probably outside of the range of fair storm killing me. I think since a cranial plating hit is always lethal next turn, I am okay with looting here. I don't care if my opponent has a Bowmasters, I don't think. Ooh. That keeps cranial plating alive if things get saucy. And I imagine a Doomsday deck can't win from this position in a single turn. Like, that's 2 life. A Doomsday would be 1 life, and then none of the cyclers work anymore. We're still playing Magic, though. Okay. You can Echo. Maybe there's a chance. Dark Writ. A Beseech the Mirror. I'm thinking about, like, Karn the Grit Creator and whether or not I need to do anything now. If Karn is just their thing, this is still lethal. I think I'm okay. Not that I really should be thinking about Karn in this position. All right, there is a guy as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I don't think this works. All right, there's a new Beseech. Storm is 10. Song of Creation. Okay. So my opponent will get a couple. They will get 2 draw 2s plus like Ponder Brainstorm. This could theoretically kill me. With Metalcraft on and a storm count this high, it's possible that these could lead to me dying. There's some hoops to jump through in terms of like mana and artifacts for things like Beseech. And we're going. At this point, I'm just going to do relevant updates. A few spells later, this is a Burning Wish. And at a storm count of 21, that will be lethal. There is the Tendrils. Yeah, that'll do. Didn't think we could reasonably lose in that position, but I wasn't thinking of Song of Creation. All right. Bluster, good. Metallic Rebuke, good. I don't have a lot of experience in playing Leyline in this shell against this deck. Feels reasonable, not great. Spellbomb can go. Pithing Needle feels expendable. Both of these feel expendable. Exsanguinator Cavalry does some stuff, as we saw, but is not an outright win condition on its own. If I Urza's Saga, Chalice on 0 is one of the better things that I can get in the matchup. It stops Sky as well, and all the 0-cost things. I can probably cut all of these. So this gets me these, and then I decide if I want to play the ley lines. Without Force of Will, in this build, I might need a little something more to get me over the finish line. Maybe I can cut like Kappa Cannoneer and keep Thought Monitor to help me draw into more interaction. Turn 1. Ornithopter, Welding Jar, Chalice on 0 with Metallic Rebuke up. Turn 2, Cranial Plating, equip and go. That's perfectly fine. Alright. Bam. And play out both other 0 drops before dropping Chalice. It's a little weird because on turn 2 I'm incentivized to Cranial Plating equip, but that would drop Metallic Rebuke, which is a thing I don't really want to do. I think I drop it this turn, with Welding Jar being available. And then I hold it up for the rest of the game from here. I don't think I can give up a Lava Axe worth of damage. Like, a lot of times my opponent has to cast a Burning Wish or something to... Oh. If I attack for 5, another attack for 5 next turn is just lethal. So I don't think I need to play this here. Wait, it's not lethal, is it? So I play this. The Cranial Platings are +6, so it's 12 damage. Yeah, I don't think I need to do that. I will play it pre-combat, though. I will take the 1 extra point of damage and be good with that. Echoing Truth on the Chalice. Blue 1, 1. We say no to that. Alright, good stuff. It's a little weird to put Chalice on 0 when you're a 0-cost artifact deck, but, you know, here we are. I don't think I have any play draw differences for this matchup. I don't know that I mulligan to a Leyline hand or anything, but Leyline hands are pretty attractive now. Hey, a Leyline hand. What a cutie. Such an attractive hand. We'll keep this one. Like, we get to go turn 1 Leyline to stop off some of the easiest like Beseech guy as well lines, and then I can turn 2 Chalice on 0, or sorry, turn 1 Chalice on 0 while also dropping a plating for the future. We don't have blue mana yet. Like, hand has problems. We don't have blue mana. We don't have black mana. But I think with double relevant hate card and a soul land, I'm never throwing this back. especially since I only have 3 turn 0 pieces of interaction. Alright, we start with Leyline in play. And we just kind of see how strong this ends up being. Hey, blue mana. That's great. We will Chalice on 0. And drop the plating. Thought Monitor is currently not castable. Not that far away from being castable. That's a great draw. So that is a threat. And it kind of doubles the power of my cranial plating. Like this is a 5/5. Next turn I can play Thought Monitor and equip cranial plating pretty easily. We can't get complacent because even though the Gaia's Will based lines are shut off, Song of Creation is in my opponent's deck, and we saw that that card can get wins from some pretty bad looking situations. So this is the fetch to clear the Brainstorm. My opponent is on a 2-turn clock. I like time being spent on Ponders. It's hard for my opponent to get a 0, like, to get an artifact into play. Ooh. In the first place to, like, sacrifice with Beseech. That's really strong. 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts. This costs 3 mana. I can Chalice on 1 to shut off Dark Ritual. I can Chalice on 2 to stop Burning Wish. Burning Wish provides the kill in most cases. I think I'm going to stop Burning Wish. I think I am supposed to do this pre-combat as well, because it represents an extra point of damage with the Germ token. And now we see if my opponent can kill us this turn or answer a 6 toughness creature. Seems unlikely, but not impossible. Echoing Truth is an out that I stopped with Chalice of the Void. So if my opponent, let's say hypothetically that my opponent has Echoing Truth and blue mana available on my turn, if I play the Chalice on 2, they can bounce this one in response, but then I just replay it for 0. So that ends up being pretty good for us. Okay, so I'm on the play. I can turn 2 Chalice of the Void, turn 3 Cranial Plating, maybe equip. These Kappa Cannoneers are a little off from being castable. I don't think this is a crazy keep, but my deck is capable of so much better. This qualifies. This hand is very good as long as I do not eat a Wasteland. I think a second copy of Nettle Cyst goes back. But this hand is in a situation where drawing lands and 0 drops will make it pop off. And that's, I don't know, roughly 60% of my deck probably. Let's take a look. Yeah. I guess 50, but if I am if my draws improve that much by hitting any of those cards, or I guess also just Patchwork Automa, like an additional one of those, I think this is fine. And on some turn, I'm going to hit like an exponential damage bump when I get to play and equip one of these to a Patchwork. We might be playing against unfair blue-black rather than fair blue-black. It's a little hard to tell because some things like Orcish Bowmasters that normally would be played out, or Fatal Push or Dismember or things of that nature, just don't get to be played out early due to Ward. We're probably not playing against Delver. I think if you're playing Delver, you don't fetch and you maybe look to find a Wasteland, since I've like clearly missed a land drop. Maybe you can't do that if I already have 3 power across 2 bodies that is going to scale up. But my opponent liked whatever they found. I think it's more likely they're a Dark Ritual gamer. Oh, that's a draw. I like it when my 0-cost Mox Opals then go and mean that I get to unleash an unholy world of hurt upon my opponent. This is turn 3. I'm attacking for 11 after stumbling and missing a land drop for a turn. My opponent is just dead next turn. They've shown me another color, which means they're probably doing a combo attempt this turn. And we'll see if I am dead. It is a Beseech-based line. I believe this is deterministic from here with Gaia's Will, which my opponent casts. And then they're just going to go through all this stuff and tendrils me. My opponent duresses me first, you know, just to take a look at other spicy things in my hand. I respect it. And there's the tendrils. Yeah. We hit that Mox Opal turn earlier. Maybe things are different, and my opponent is dead. I have no regrets in keeping the hand. All right, so what did we do last time? Fluster, Metallic Rebuke, Ley Lines. I think I boarded out all 4 of my 1-drops. And then did we do Kappa out? Then I think we did Kappa out. Ooh, this is not quite an ideal hand, but it does stuff. And I don't think it's worth mulliganing. So the real question with this hand is, like, do I just play Urza Saga on turn 1? If I do that, I never really play this cranial plating, which may or may not be a problem. I'm going to say that it is not a problem. Urza Saga allows me to work towards a Mox Opal, and Mox Opal will allow me to cast this Flusterstorm. Okay, that's fine. Probably goodbye Flusterstorm. I am just going to sink my mana into Urza Saga over the next couple of turns, and we just kind of assume that an Urza Saga token, well, a pair of them, beats my opponent. My opponent has some time to cantrip. It's not like the Urza Saga tokens are going to be the fastest clock in the world. I'm not going to deploy very many 0-drops the rest of this game. Ooh, my opponent is missing land drops. We're going to hope that that means they have a bunch of 0-drops in hand that they can't deploy. So they have a bunch of rituals they might be able to just power through. Natural blue mana is really nice. So these are 3/3s. They're about to be 5/5s. Oh, also earlier in the video I said you could fetch Chalice of the Void off Urza Saga. That's not true. It has XX in the cost. Blame that one on the stuff he knows. Alright, do I still want Mox Opal, or do I want Welding Jar to help protect Chalice? Mox Opal lets me cast Cavalry. I don't think Cavalry matters. I think I'm just going to take Welding Jar. So we're going to go Welding Jar, Seat, attack for 5. Opponent's at 12. Next turn I just play Cranial Plating, and I have Lethal. I think Welding Jar to just help decrease the number of ways that things can go wrong in this next game. Sounds really good. That is Ponder, no Shuffle. Got it. So, Cranial Plating. Alright, and we get this one. Game on the draw is obviously harder. I don't think I'm making any sideboarding changes, though. It's possible that Kappa Cannoneer is better than Exsanguinator Cavalry because I have 4 more blue sources than I do black sources in the deck. But again, the life gain from this does matter versus fair Beseech lines. This hand doesn't do anything. It also doesn't do anything, right? And also doesn't do anything. We're going to 5. Opponent is keeping their 7. 1, 2, or let's count this as cards. 1, 2, 3. Maybe Welding Jar to protect Chalice, Exsanguinator Cavalry. Unexciting. I think this is where we're at. Actually, is it better to not keep Welding Jar and keep Cranial Plating for Exsanguinator Cavalry to help get out of range of fair Beseech stuff? So Boseiju is a thing that I want Welding Jar for, as are some like Burning Wish targets. Echoing Truth a lot of times is what my opponent is going to use to answer a Chalice, and Welding Jar doesn't protect from that anyway. Some portion of the time I also just lose Chalice of the Void to a Duress or Thoughtseize on turn 1. I think I'm going to throw back Welding Jar. and just have a clearer path towards victory. Suspend Gaia's Will is great for me because that's something that just gets hit by Chalice. So we will Ornithopter, Ancient Tomb, Chalice on 0, and drop the Cranial Plating. And we'll see if we regret not keeping Whoozy What's It. Duress Whiffs. With Whoozy What's It being Welding Jar. Holy shit. I think we're putting that on 1 to stop cantrips and dark rituals. Putting it on 2 is like very nice to stop Echoing Truth, but I'm not guaranteed to have that next mana. Alright, little Ornithopter, that could. Gaia's Will continues to tick down. That is not a real card right now. Every time I tap this Ancient Tomb, I put myself closer to dying to Natural Storm. I think Natural Storm does not happen with 2 Chalices in play, so a lot of this is just going to be, does my opponent have Echoing Truth in hand for their next turn? Oh. Are you attempting a combo attempt this turn before this Gaia's Will goes off? I just get to replay these if you are not going off this turn. Sure. Sure. Oh, okay. No, they are going to attempt to combo off this turn. I mean, if you got it, you got it. Infernal Tutor, crack 1. Crack both. So Infernal... Oh, I see. Infernal Tutor for Tendrils is lethal since I tapped with Ancient Tomb for Exsanguinator Cavalry. That'll do. I think even if I don't tap Ancient Tomb, they just kill me a different way, right? You beseech with an artifact in play. You then use the second copy of Gaia's Will. And you LED, 6 mana, 4 mana Infernal Tutor for a Cabal Ritual. Cabal Ritual, Infernal Tutor, Tendrils also gets there. So I was dead either way. Okay. This is a bit of a weird one. I think it's a keep, with the conceptual plan being turn 1 Cavalry, turn 2 Nettle Cyst, and Cavalry will scale up both itself and the Nettle Cyst. But I don't know that this is exactly my best conceptual hand. My opponent says, hello, Brazil. Well, hello to you, Brazil, as well as your Magic community. Please use your mana to Chalice me on 1. Or, like, Blood Moon me. I don't care about that either. Fuck, I care about this a lot. Oh, no. Alright. Not the absolute high roll, but the damage might be done here. That's a Rabble Master. And a Battlecry Goblin. Oh, shit. Okay. So this is bad. Because next turn, my opponent can just activate Battlecry Goblin. Am I just dead? My opponent makes another Goblin, goes to attacks, makes another Goblin. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Goblins. This gets +5. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Battlecry Goblin activation. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 damage. I think that I am never winning this game. Like, I can play Ancient Tomb, go to 17, deploy a threat that will gain me 2 life, technically stay alive, but lose this in process. I think I give up too much information by playing any spells, unfortunately. We are supposed to be the beatdown. And this is not great for me. So Chalices are the first thing that come out. Chalices come out for Torpor Orbs and Plague Engineers, and then I have these 4 to think about. I think I ended up keeping Pithing Needle before for Battlecry Goblin and Broadside. We haven't lined up Foundry with Ornithopter yet to just make 4/4s. Thought Monitor feels kind of slow. I think I'm going to play some of these over it and keep the rest of the stuff, I think. I think I'm going to try Metallic Rebuke on the play. And probably Sheoldred's Edict on the draw. I don't know. We'll see. Turn 1 Torpor Orb. Keep Reno. Now, sometimes my opponent will just have an aggro hand that starts on Goblin Rabblemaster that just dodges this. And that's just a thing that's going to happen some portion of the time, but is probably pretty close to an ideal start. Like, I think Cavalry plating beats Rabblemaster. We'll find out, I guess. I take 1. I have 3, kind of 4 mana this turn. Is there any world where I want to play Nettlecyst first? I don't think so. I think I just always want to be able to lifelink next turn. Especially since this Ancient Tomb is going to set me back a lot. I'm probably most scared of something that looks like Fury right now. Like Fury clearing this out of the way. Lets my opponent get in for a lot of damage while I have Ancient Tomb and am pushed on the back foot. Like, similarly, Broadside would be very bad. So, if I block a token, my opponent just throws a token at Cavalry post-combat and I lose the Cavalry. If I don't block, my opponent can just throw Rabblemaster post-combat and have gotten their damage in and still kill Cavalry. So I think I am supposed to unfortunately take this block, which means that I'm not setting up Cranial Plating plus lifelink. Alright. Are you going to throw a token at my face, or are you going to keep that token? They are going to throw a token at my face. That's fair. Metallic Rebuke's not nothing, but taking damage from the Ancient Tombs here is a pretty big deal. Yeah, it may be that my like dedicated sideboard card for the matchup is just not good enough. This is a 2/2. I might still need to just Metallic Rebuke this so that my opponent can't throw it. As absolutely sad as that is just a vanilla 2/2, and I have to counter it, or it's 5 damage. Potentially more. I'm going to take 2 in combat here. I guess technically my opponent could attack with the Goblin and be willing to sacrifice Chrome Mox to kill this Germ, which is why I assume they are hesitating. Am I fine with that? It's a 2-for-1. Might need to take that. I'm not winning this game by aggroing my opponent out. Oh, they're just going to throw it at face instead. Sure, that's reasonable. I will play a Patchwork Automaton. I don't think I get to attack. I don't think I get to play Cranial Plating either. If my opponent can play any 3-drop, I am just dead to them throwing it at my face. Same is true of a 4-drop. So they just attack and then throw this at my face, and I am deterministically dead to it. Like I double block here, and then they just throw this one at my face before damage. And we just got run over, folks, putting up a 2-3 finish in this league. So how do we feel about the deck? Fine, but I don't know that we really got a good matchup spread. Like, we played against a bunch of Storm and a bunch of Sticker Goblin aggro, and those are decks that can keep up with the speed of what I am doing in a way that a lot of other decks in the format might not necessarily be able to do. They are also decks that have the potential to out-aggro the life gain from Exsanguinator Cavalry. So generally speaking, I think this deck was fine. I feel like I had good agency in my games. I feel like the decisions I had were relevant and mattered. And like the deck gets a thumbs up. Now, is it better than other things that exist in the format operating in a similar niche? No, probably not. 8-cast is much more resilient than this deck is, with like Bobble redraws, sometimes extra Thought Monitor redraws, Emery to get stuff back from the graveyard. I will say this deck is probably pretty good against Orcish Bowmasters as a whole. Like, Patchwork Automaton is technically an X1 starting stats, but the ward helps you not get curved out by Bowmasters. and that means that it's primarily just Vault Scourge that is going to die to Bowmasters. But when you're on the play, you might have like Vault Scourge and connection with Cranial Plating once by the time a Bowmaster come down, and if that's the case, like I've already gotten a Lava Axe out of this card, and like that's enough for one card. Michael, general idea here, thumbs up. I don't know that I have major changes that I would make to the deck list. Like we didn't end up with a positive record today, but the deck felt fine. If you have any thoughts, throw them down in the comments below. I'm sure I would love to read them, as would Michael. And if you end up wanting to buy any of the cards for this deck or other decks, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order. Folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya.